Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, saw Jesus, and he shouted, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. But this son of David is actually the Lord of David. For David himself testified, the Lord said to my Lord, certified, sit at my right hand, glorified, till I make thy enemies stratified, thy footstool to qualify, just like the keepers of his grave were mummified, and became like dead men exemplified. O death, where is thy sting? Nullified. Engraved thy victory, atrophied, for Christ magnified, swallowed up death in victory, glorified, and high justified, can stand here amplified into his glory that can't be quantified. Believe with me, he is the God of gods, stronger than the tug of war. He is the Lord of lords, mightier than the Lord of the rings. His word is the sword of swords, sharper than any two-edged sword. For in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and God was the word, and the word and everything in it was made by God with the word, and without the word was not anything in the world made. If things are existing now, they were not. We are living now, but we may soon be fading away like the stars of the morning, and the earth will be mourning, only remembered by the works we have done. But he was, he is, and he is to come. He is the lion and the lamb, incomprehensible, unchangeable, immovable, unshakable, ageless, changeless, timeless, tireless, relentless, impeachless King. He is God. Jesus is God. Jesus is not just Lord, he is God. See, if any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And if we have not love, we walk in darkness, and light is not in us. For God himself so loved the world that he sent his only Son, the Word, that whosoever believe his word will not perish with the world, but have everlasting life in the world to come. So he sent his word and delivered us from the destructions of the world. And the word came, he became flesh and blood, and shed his blood, so that by the blood of one he might reconcile the lost ones and the missing ones back to God in one word, that Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord. And the light shined in the darkness incomprehensibly, and blind Bartimaeus, someone like me, could see. Death, where is thy sting? Nullified. And grave, thy victory atrophied. For the Lord Jesus magnified, swallowed death in victory, glorified, and I justified, can stand here amplified into his glory that can't be quantified. When Jesus died, there was mighty darkness in the land. It was not slightly, but it was heightened, like the darkness that covered the face of the deep in Genesis when the earth was a nemesis. The darkness was gross, it covered the nations. But there was a lightning, and darkness ran out of its hidden places. There was no place for heat in the earth's mazes, because there was a lightning. And Jesus descended into the lower parts of the earth, and there was an echo resounding, lifts up your head, O ye gate, and be lifted up, O great gates, that the greater than the greatest may descend. And war arose in heaven. Michael and his angels against the dragon, sword upon sword, and dagger against dagger. And Michael emptied blood before the altar. He said, it is the blood of God. And I behold Lucifer fall from the sky like a star, like a burnt out comet with a sky. Glory to the risen Lamb, the bright morning star. For they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and loved not their lives to the point of scars. And the gates were opened, and the great gates. And Jesus descended, and he took from Lucifer the key of death and of hell, and he gave it to me. I have everlasting life. Death, where is thy sting? Nullified. Engraved thy victory, atrophied. For the Lord Jesus magnified, swallowed death in victory, glorified, and high justified, can stand there amplified into his glory that can't be quantified. Lastly, listen. Prophecies may fail. Dreams may be blood, visions may vanish, the earth may be famished, but God's image cannot be tarnished. His kingdom cannot be banished, neither can he be vanquished. Because God is not an entity without an identity. His immortality is in totality. He is mighty in brutality. The fool in his insanity says there is no God in reality. The fool in his insanity says there is no God in reality, but God is the sanity in his insanity. For God is not an entity without an identity. His identity is in immortality, when he swallowed carnality and mortality in eternity and immortality. Once again, prophecies may fail, dreams may be blurred, the storm may come to your neck, the clouds may gather, darkness may overwhelm you. But I want you to know that God the Word remains God the light. And at the end of this night, you will see God the light, because He says you are His delight. This is the story of our redemption. This is the gospel according to Samuel. Amazing Ayoade. Thank you.